Okay, so let's get started with our first section today, which is the listening section. Now, the listening section is a very interesting section. Why is it interesting? Because you have 4 parts to this section. Okay, part 1 and 2 are the easier sections. I would say part 3 and 4 are the harder sections. Why are they harder? Because they involve academic language. Whereas 1 and 2 talk about social or everyday language, right? So what we do on a day-to-day basis is what you'll be seeing first, followed by part 3 and 4, which would be the harder parts. So if you ask me, the first section that would be, actually it's not the first section, but yes, the first section, listening. Okay, so listening would consist of 4 parts, part 1, 2, 3 and 4. All these 4 parts have a total number of 40 questions. The time that is given to you for this entire section is 30 minutes. And you have 10 minutes later to transfer your answers. What do you mean by transfer your answers? You will be given a question paper. You need to mark all the answers on the question paper while you are listening to the section. Okay, and after that, you will be given time to mark, to transfer all the answers to the answer sheet. So the first part, as you can see, would be a dialogue based in a social or everyday setting. It could be anything. It could be a telephone conversation for maybe registering for a course. It could ask you basic data like what is your name, what is the address. It could ask you your telephone number, or maybe it could be that you wanted to book a table at a restaurant. Okay, or maybe it was a timetable of a train station. Maybe you want to join a club or join some activity. So it could be a conversation regarding one of these aspects. The next part would be part 2, which would be a monologue, where there is only one person speaking. Okay, so in all possibilities, it could be a tour guide. Okay, a tour guide explaining about the resort, for example. Okay, maybe the tour guide would talk about the facilities, the history, or maybe the tour guide would also talk about a historical building. Okay, maybe it could talk about a charity, maybe it could talk about a company, an organization. So there will be one person who will be talking or describing, something. Part 3 and part 4 are slightly difficult because the context is more academic. In this case, there would be a discussion in part 3 where 2 students would be discussing maybe an academic project. Could be a university tutor and a student discussing an assignment. Okay. Part 4 would be an academic monologue. Again, one person is giving a lecture on a particular topic and maybe you need to make notes accordingly. So this is what a sample question paper looks like. Now, there's a lot of marking that I've done here. This is the rough work that you'll be allowed to do on the paper. You'll be allowed to do this rough work on the question paper. You can write your answers here itself and then transfer these answers to the answer sheet after 30 minutes. Not now. You should not be transferring it as soon as you see the question paper. For now, you should just listen and enter everything into the question paper. I've put in some clues here. I wish that you guys can take a screenshot and delve into these clues at a later point in time. It's got a lot of tips and tricks for answering questions like these. Moving ahead to what a sample answer paper looks like. So this is what a sample answer sheet looks like, right? You need to fill in your name, you need to put down your center number and then get away to answering these questions. As you can see, there would be 40 questions and this is what the answer sheet would look like. You have to transfer the answers from here. So for example, if your first answer was photos, obviously in this block, instead of writing taxi, you would have written photos, right? And so on. You basically have to transfer the answers from the question paper to the answer sheet, right? So this is what the answer sheet looks like. Now, if you notice, the answer sheet consists of a lot of different formats, right? There could be 1 word, there could be 2 words, there could be a date, there could be time, there could be some numbers, there could be only letters or alphabets, right? Do not leave any questions, please. Do not leave any questions. Even if you miss out on something, try to guess that particular answer, right? So you've seen that there are a lot of different things that you can put down on the answer sheet depending upon the task that is given to you with every part. So first of all, you will be tested on 3 aspects: how well you read the question, how well you listen to the piece that is playing, and how well you write the answers, right? So in the listening section, it's actually like you're doing 3 things at the same time. You're multitasking. You're reading the question very quickly. Simultaneously, you're listening to what is being played, and at the same time, you're writing down the answers. So you will be tested on all these three aspects. The recording is played only once. So whatever piece of information you listen to, it will only be played once. You cannot say, hey, wait a minute, I forgot to listen to one part. Let me go back and listen to it. Not possible. You won't get time to do that, and nor is there a chance to do that. Next point is the answer sheet. Now, when you're writing on the question paper, you may use a pen if you like, but on the answer sheet, you're only supposed to use a pencil. That's why I said please carry the required pencil. Again, I would request you to go to the IELTS official website and have a look at the requirements, whatever you need to carry to the particular center. But on the answer sheet, only pencil. Scores, as I mentioned, 40 questions, but the scores would be related to 40 points. The first raw score would be converted to 40 points. What does this mean? Every question, 1 point, right? Every question, suppose you get 20 questions out of 40 correct, your points would be 20. Then 20 would be equated to a particular band, maybe 5, maybe 6, maybe 7, whatever it is. I'll discuss that band with you a little later. How you convert these points to a band, I will discuss with you a little later in this presentation. But yes, each question carries 1 point. You can move back and forth. That is not really advisable, but yes, you can move back and forth if required. Let's say if you want to read the questions beforehand, you can move back and forth within that particular section. You would get mixed accents, right? So you could listen to an Australian speaker, you may listen to a British speaker, you may listen to an American speaker. The American speaker would probably be the most straightforward in his accent. British speakers are slightly difficult to comprehend, and so are Australian speakers. But again, it's not a very difficult section. This is the most scoring section along with the reading section. Please note, the listening section and the reading section are the most scoring sections because they are not subjective. Whereas writing and speaking are subjective. If the examiner likes what you write, very good. If the examiner doesn't, that's not great news. If the examiner is strict, they may not give you good points. So it all depends upon the examiner. But here, the control is in your hands. For the listening and the reading section, the control is in your hands. You decide your score because you're going to mark the answers which are fixed. There's not two answers to this. There's no negative marking, so please guess. Wherever you miss out anything, please guess. If you miss a question, please move on. Do not stop there and keep thinking about it. Oh my God, I missed a question. Don't get paranoid. Okay, just move on. You can come back to this later. Questions are in order. Okay, questions are in order. So whatever you'll be listening to, you need to fill in the answers accordingly in order. Right? So question 1 would be played maybe initially. Question 2 would come after question 1 has been spoken about. Then maybe question 3 will be spoken about. So it's easy for you to mark the answer to question 3 and so on. So the questions are pretty much in order. You will not have to go back and forth. You will not have to turn the page and look for the next question. Everything will flow in one simple order. So all these tips are for the listening section. Now very quickly, I'm going to tell you how you can enter your answers. A lot of students ask me that when we listen to a piece, are we supposed to enter the answers in capital letters or in the smaller case? Well, the choice is yours, but do not mix and match. Okay, use any one thing. If you want to use school, for example, in capital letters, please go ahead and use school in all capitals. If you want to use small letters, please use all small letters. But then be careful for words like this. If you're talking about a proper noun, the M has to be in capital and the C has to be in capital. If you mark the small one, you will get 0 marks on this question instead of +1. Right? So when you talk about days and dates, a lot of students ask me, how do we enter days and dates? Well, it doesn't really matter. You can say Saturday the 25th, you can say Saturday 25th, okay, you can say Saturday 25, you can say 26th June or June 26th. You need to avoid using 1/12. Although you can use slashes, avoid using it, I'm saying, because sometimes it gets confusing. Am I talking about the first month, or am I talking about the 12th month? So it can become a little intimidating. Avoid using this. Better to use 26th June or maybe 1st December or 12th January, something like that. For timing related stuff, you should use 7 p.m. Okay, you can use 7.00, you can use 19:00. Fine, you can use any of these structures, but no repetition is allowed. If PM is already given to you after the blank, you'll not be allowed to enter PM again. You cannot enter 7 PM when PM is already given to you after the blank, if you're filling in the blanks, for example. Moving on to the second point, you always have to follow the instructions. They will always give you something like no more than 2 words and or a number. What are the possibilities of the answers you can have? Maybe you can just write in craftsman. Maybe in the blank you can fill in local craftsman. Maybe you can fill in a number because it says and or a number. So you can also put in 40 local craftsmen. Because now what is my structure? I have 2 words and a number. 2 words and a number, right? I can also fill in only a number, right? It says no more than 2 words or a number. Means only a number is also accepted, right? So I'm going to give you guys 5 seconds every time. Please take screenshots wherever you can because I've pulled in all this data with a lot of difficulty. I wish that you guys take screenshots wherever required. Okay, I won't be able to give you too much time. Otherwise, we cannot finish our exercise on time. The next tip says importance of prepositions. So a lot of students wonder, should I add the preposition at the park, in the pool, etc. So you have to understand this by looking at the question type. If the question type just says place, colon, and gives you a blank, so you're just supposed to talk about the place in one word. Just put park in one word, okay? But if it's in a sentence format, if the question is in a sentence format and not a one-word format, then the best place to me is, then you continue the sentence, is at the park. Here I will require the preposition. Without the preposition, if I just say park, I will get 0. I require to put at the park. Okay, so this is the importance of prepositions. In the pool, at school, okay, at the park. Make sure you're completing the sentence if the question is a sentence. If the question is in a word format, then please just choose one word itself. That's more than enough. Do not waste time there. Next tip is all the words are counted. Like I said, you know the importance of the number of words. When it says no more than 3 words, I need to make sure I'm not using more than 3 words, right? So 1950, for example, this year, students ask me, is this considered as 4 numbers or what is this? A word or what is it? It is considered as 1 number. When you talk about a holiday, students ask, what is the importance of this article? Is it considered as a word or not? Yes, it is. It is considered as a word. It will be 2 words here. Headphones, for example, if you write it separately, it's going to be wrong. Headphones is 1 word. You need to put it in 1 word and it is considered as 1 word. If you write head and phones separately, you will get it wrong, 0 instead of +1. Good looking requires a hyphen. You cannot just put good looking together. If you do that, you will get it wrong. You need to put the hyphen between good looking. So this basic knowledge is required by you. The basic usage of language, the basic usage of words is required by you to be known. If you don't know this, start looking it up. How important are spellings? Again, some students are really bad with spellings. Okay, they don't know how to spell certain words. So what are you supposed to do? You have to learn your spellings because incorrect spellings leads to 0 marks. Okay, if for example, if you're spelling the word accommodate, okay, if you're spelling the word accommodate, I don't know how many of you know the spelling of this word, but a lot of students make mistakes in the spelling of this word. We must use a double C and a double M. Some students write ACOMMO or they forget the double M or something like that. Okay, make sure you're using correct spellings. Even 1 alphabet missing, 0. American or British spellings are both okay. So if you want to say COLOUR or COLOR, both are fine. Both are fine. Okay. Name of a person, usually they give you the names of people while they are speaking, but you don't have to worry. They might give you a difficult word. Maybe they'll say Frankenstein and you may not be used to how to spelling this word. They will give you the spelling. They will say Frankenstein and then the other person will say, can you spell that out? Or the person who's speaking will automatically speak that Frankenstein. It can be spelled as FRANK and so on. Okay, so when that happens, you have to note down the alphabets then and there. If you miss that, you're probably going to make a mistake with the spelling. Okay, so name of a person, they will usually spell it. No stress on this one. But only for a name of a person. For accommodate, for necessary, for these kind of words, no, you need to know all that. Pay attention while transferring, not during the 30 minutes. Okay, so when do you have to pay attention to spellings? When you're writing questions on the question paper, just scribble the word. But when you have 10 minutes to transfer, after the first 30 minutes, when you get 10 minutes to transfer the correct answers, that's when you have to pay attention to noting down the correct spelling. Don't waste time on the spelling on the question paper. Very important tip here. Don't try and spell it correctly on the question paper. Nobody cares what you do on the question paper. You can even draw a diagram, you can even draw a face of Michael Jackson. Nobody cares. What they care about is the correct spelling on the answer sheet. Okay, so don't waste time when you're listening and writing. Only when you're transferring, that is a good time to waste time or rather to spend time on putting the correct spelling. Moving on to point number 6. You need to read the instructions properly. There will be certain questions which will test you on a specific word as an answer or a specific letter as an answer. So they will ask you, they will give you in the instructions clearly that please put down the correct alphabet, or please put down the correct letter, or please put down the correct word. Now, for example, if they asked you for the letter, please put down the correct letter. Then you're supposed to say A, B, and C, and not May, June, or July. If you remember when we saw the question sheet, we saw that the student, that particular student had written A, B, C also. Why had he written A, B, C? Because the instructions asked him to do that. They asked him to put down the alphabet or the letter and not the word, not May, June, or July. So in place of question number 8, if you write A instead of May, you'll get it wrong. If you write May instead of option A, you'll get it wrong. Right? So please be very careful about the instructions. Please read the instructions. Don't be in a hurry. Don't be excited. Don't try to understand everything. You know, when they speak, it's going to be very conversational. So there's going to be a lot of extra information which you need to ignore. How will you learn this? Obviously, you will learn this with practice. You need to practice a lot. Okay, next point 8. Utilize the time to prepare for questions 1 to 5. So I've just given you an example here. So what they do is when the speaking section starts, okay, they will say that now you have time to go through question numbers 1 to 5, and they will give you about a minute to go through questions 1 to 5. What are you supposed to do in that 1 minute? You're supposed to identify keywords of the questions that are following it. So for example, if they give you one part of the question that says the ancient museum is built by dash, that means what do I know? I know that whenever this guy speaks about the ancient museum and built by, when he uses these kind of words, I know that I'm going to pay extra attention there because I've already marked this out. I've already identified keywords in the question. What are my keywords here? When I say ancient museum, okay, I know my topic. When I say build, okay, I know that I'm going to talk about a construction or building or making of a particular museum. Now remember, when he's speaking, when the person is speaking, don't mind if I say he's speaking or she's speaking. I don't have any gender discrimination here. It's just what was coming out naturally. Okay, so whenever a person is speaking, they could also use words like construct or make. Okay, do not expect that they will make it so easy for you and they'll use the exact same words as the ancient museum is built by Mr. Frankenstein. No, not necessary. They could also say the ancient museum was constructed by Mr. Frankenstein. So be ready to listen to any kind of synonyms. The minute you see by, you know that something is usually built by a person maybe, an organization maybe, a group of people maybe, right? So this is just something that you can speculate, but at least you know the direction, at least you know what you're looking for when this person is speaking beforehand, because you've utilized that 1 minute before the person actually starts speaking. They give you some time to go through the questions. Please utilize that time by identifying the keywords. That is how you can be on top of the section instead of the section being on top of you, right? So please mark out the keywords on the question paper. Please underline, please circle. You can do whatever you want on the question paper. Moving ahead to 9. Sometimes the answers come really quickly, especially on the harder sections like section 3. Personally, I find section 3 harder than section 4. Okay, that's my personal opinion. I don't know, maybe you guys can tell me later about it. But section 3, the answers come really quickly, and a lot of it is paraphrased, and they use synonyms, so it's very difficult for us to understand what's going on. Not necessarily that the answers will come in at regular intervals. Maybe you will be waiting for about 2 minutes for one answer to come. Okay, but then don't panic. Okay, you know what is going on. Stick to that. Keep making notes, so that even if you've missed out on something, keep making notes of, let's say, important names important words, important dates, days. Make your notes on the side on the question paper, because even if you think you've missed something, at least after 30 minutes, when you have 10 minutes time to transfer, you can try and guess the answers if you actually missed something. Okay, so that's why note making is very important. We'll talk about that as well, but I'm telling you now as well. Make sure you're making a lot of notes on the question paper. Answers will come really quickly, not at regular intervals. Okay, maybe you'll see two answers together in a span of 10 seconds. Sometimes you have to wait for a minute to see the second answer. Okay, so don't expect everything to just be so easy. Always keep your eye on the next question, so that you know that you've not missed anything. If your eye is already on the next question, let's say in the first question they are asking for a name. In the next question, maybe they are asking for the address. So at least you know that, okay, fine, if I've missed the name, at least I know that the next question is the address question. So whatever notes I've made, maybe by chance, I have written down the name. Even though I missed it reading it, I've written down the name in my notes, and now I know that, okay, he's talking about the address question. So I know what I have to write for the address one as well as what I've missed, because I made the note of the name by chance, by luck, because I was paying attention to everything. Maybe I didn't read the question well, but I have made my notes. I can use my notes to answer that particular question. Right? So always keep your eye on the next question. It will help you on anticipating what is coming next, as well as answering the questions that have gone by. The next question here is, use short form to write on the answer on the question sheets. Like I said, on the question paper, if you hear, so where are the books kept? If there's a question, where are the books kept, and you want to say university library, you want to write university library, do you actually have to write this entire thing on the question paper? Just put it down in a short form, right? Just write uni.lib. Or whatever, however it's comfortable for you. Maybe you'll say UNIVLIB. That's all. You don't really have to waste time in writing university library on the question paper. All this needs to be done only when you're finally transferring your answers from the question paper to the answer sheet, right? So don't waste time there. Otherwise, what will happen is, possibly answers you may miss. You may miss the next question because this is a long word, and while you're writing this down, you may miss a particular question. But of course, when you're transferring, make sure you're transferring it correctly. No mistakes there. There can be a gap between questions, as I already mentioned. Point number 9 is being reinstated here. There can be a gap between questions. Do not panic. Do not panic. You have not missed anything. It's just going to come next. It's just going to come ahead. Okay, moving on to the last 8 tips. Common traps. So what are the common traps? Changed answers. So what they do is, while speaking, they'll say that it is bus number 2889, and then they pause. So you write down, they've given you a question, the bus number dash. You quickly write 2889. But then they continue saying, oh, sorry, it's 2998. Okay, so when they have this correction, then you have to go back there, cancel what you had written and write 2998, which is natural. This is the way you should be doing it. Don't wait for the correct version to come, because sometimes they give you the correct version directly, right? So just write 2889, cross it out, and then when you hear the corrected version, write down 2998. But why I'm telling you this is because this is a common trap. They do this very frequently. They do not give you the information so easy. So listen for this changed answer. Watch out for distractors where the information is given but then corrected or changed. For example, they may say, I'd like to order 2, please. No, wait a minute. So you've already written 2. Then they're saying, no, wait a minute. I'll have 3 so that I can give 1 to my mom as well as my sister. Then you cancel 2 and you write 3. Right? So make sure that you're using similar words or paraphrasing instead of the exact word. Meaning at times you will have to use this. Okay? Not necessarily that they'll always give you the exact word. They may paraphrase it for you. So for example, what you hear. Well, it's free for students here, but otherwise it's £125 per year. Or £25 if you've got a current student card from another college. The question will say, cost to join per year without the student card. Now they've given you a lot of information here, but which one do you take? If you have the student card, it's £25. But if you don't have the student card, then it's £125. Okay, so you need to be very careful about what you're listening to and what you're entering as the answer. Only the red one is the correct answer. Look at this one. We'll allow 12 items borrowed at any one time if you're a student. However, it's only 8 items from members of the public. So if you're a member of the public, obviously the answer would be 8 and not 12. So here what they do is they give you 2 pieces of information. Both are applicable, depends upon the question. So read well. You listen properly, but read well also to mark the correct answer. Look at another one. Most people book 24 hours in advance. Sometimes you can get one with 6 hours notice. However, the earliest you can book a computer is 48 hours before you need it. So obviously computers can be booked up to dash hours in advance. Here you will have to mark 48 as the correct answer. Because they are saying most people book 24 hours. Sometimes you can do it with a 6-hour notice. However, the earliest you can book a computer is 48 hours before you need it, the final statement. So how many hours in advance? Computers can be booked up to 48 hours in advance. No doubt most people do it at 24 hours or maybe 6 hours. But what is the availability? What is the earliest time that you can do it? So you can book it up to 48 hours also. It would be acceptable. Okay, so be careful with this language. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not as easy as it seems or looks. The minimum fine is 150, but it can go up to 5. Start. Minimum. Pay attention to these kind of words. Right? Don't just go and write 5 because you heard 5 last. So be careful of all these comment traps. Okay? Repeated answers. So sometimes they give you clues. Let's say if you miss something, the lady might say, suppose there are two people talking and there's a man and there's a woman. The man may have given the answer and then the lady might say, is this what you mean? And she may repeat the answer. Okay, so you get a chance to actually write the answer. Or do you mean this? And then she may was. So you get a chance to actually write the answer again. Okay, so look out for these things. They will help you. Repeated answers. Listen for plurals. So make sure if they are saying photos, you're writing photos and not photo. If you miss the S, you miss the mark. If you miss the S, you get 0. Intonation in section 3. So because I said I find section 3 the hardest, I have stressed on this point here. I was expecting the test to be quite easy, but it was quite difficult. So focus on the tone. The tone is also what matters, right? You'll be able to answer questions better if you focus on the tone. How was the movie? It was quite good. Or, oh, it was quite good. So focus on the tone in which the person is speaking. That may help you in answering certain questions. Look at titles. So every passage, okay, every question set would have a title. Look at the titles, especially before the table or the map or the diagrams that you did. All this is going to help you in answering the questions. So intonation, titles, all these are important things that you should look at when you see the question paper. Another very important mistake that students make is that they do not see all the questions. So let's say part 1 says answer all the questions numbered 1 to 8. Not necessarily it will always be 1 to 10. Okay, not necessarily 40 questions will always be divided into 4 parts like 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30, 31 to 40. No. Okay, it can also be 1 to 8. So on your question sheet, maybe on the first page there are just 7 questions. Okay, and the 8th question is on the next page. Don't start getting confused there. Don't panic. Okay, so first and foremost, when you hear the instructions that this listening section is this listening part is targeted to the first 7 questions or question 1 to question 8, please find those questions first and foremost and then start paying attention to the keywords and making your notes on the question paper, etc. before the audio actually starts playing. Okay. 19th one, technical and academic language may not be paraphrased. So section 3 and section 4, no need to worry about paraphrasing. So let's say if one particular paragraph is talking about a term called transgressional philosophy, then you don't need to paraphrase that. Those words will be used as it is and you'll be able to fill in your answers also in the same tone, in the same theme. So there's no need to worry about technical and academic language, which will be seen in section 3 and section 4. It will not be paraphrased, it will be directly asked and you can directly put in the answers. Last point for the listening section is listen carefully. Sometimes we hear things like children must be accompanied by an adult at all times. Don't mind my typo here, it should have been at all times. So let's say there's a question 26 based on this. No children are allowed without dash. Now what should you put here? Obviously you should not put an accompanied adult. Okay, the adult is not accompanied, but the child has to be accompanied by an adult. So the child is not allowed without an adult. If I put an accompanied adult, I'm changing the meaning of the sentence, which is not allowed. Do not change the meaning of the sentence. The child is accompanied, not the adult. So please do not mark something like this. You may see something like don't frighten or injure the animals. Or you may They may ask you to put the answer only in one word. So what will you put here? You can't say frighten or injure, right? In one word only, if you had to do it, you could have simply written harm. Okay, it means the same thing. So it's okay to write harm. It's okay to use a synonym or a paraphrase. She likes going to the gym and playing tennis. If you have to explain this in only one word, she is or an dash person. So what can I say? Going to the gym and playing tennis, I should immediately think of a word that matches closest to this and mark active. Right? So these are things which you need to pay attention to. You need to listen carefully, paraphrase properly, use the correct meaning to the sentence,